The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Tucson, Arizona, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 38916. Please utilize this 5-digit job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. We'll get started on a brief orientation of your new apparatus. Starting first, just under the front bumper is where you'll find your hitch receiver. Moving just up to the face of the front bumper, you'll find your electronic siren. Just inside that location, you'll find tow hooks protruding through the front of the front bumper. These are 6,000 pounds direct pull and are not intended for towing. There is also a unit identifier, number 4. As we move up onto the outer edge of the cab, it's where you'll find your marker, turn indicator light, and headlight structure. Just inside that location in the grille area, forward-facing emergency warning lights. Moving up onto the outer edge of the fender, it's where you'll find dual air horns. And then just inside that location in the center, you'll find the grab handle for tilting the hood. Let's move to the A-pillar, where you'll find your mirror housing a flat and convex mirror. The lower section will be convex and the upper section is flat. As we move toward the windshield area, you'll find 2 windshield wipers across the seamless one-piece windshield. Moving now up to the brow of the apparatus, you'll find 5 identification clearance lights. Just above that, you'll find a forward-facing floodlight. And up onto the roof area, you'll find your emergency warning light bar. Located within the center of the light bar is where you'll find your opticom. Just slightly behind the emergency warning light is where you'll also find a go light controlled from within inside the cab. This is your spotlight. Let's take a look at some close-ups, first starting just under the front bumper where you'll find the hitch receiver and then also 12-volt access. Full view of the apparatus here. Let's move now into the cab section. We'll identify a few items within this area, starting first with the front wheel, which is a Michelin tire and an Alcoa wheel. To the front bumper extension, you'll find a side-facing emergency warning light. As we move up onto the fender, you'll find your marker turn indicator light. And then moving further up onto the very top section, you'll find the air inlet for your engine. Moving to the rear of the fender is where you'll find the release. There are 2, one on the passenger and one on the driver's side for tilting the hood. As we move down, we have a few items within this area. First, starting at the very bottom, you'll find your air inlet. Just up from that, you'll find the shoreline power. When plugged into shoreline power, the battery status center will illuminate, indicating battery status. As we move toward the rear of the diamond-plated area, you'll find the fuel cell. The silver cap is your ultra-low sulfur diesel. Just moving toward the rear of that location to the black tank. With the blue cap, you'll find your DEF fill location. Moving up from that, you have a side-facing emergency warning light. And then easily accessible with a gloved hand, these are the combination door lock and latch. Right next to that is the grab handle for gaining entry and exit in and out of the cab. Let's take a look at some close-ups, first starting with your Michelin tire and Alcoa wheel, and then moving now up to the top section where you'll find your hood. Let's move now to the body section. We'll start first down at the very bottom section with Michelin tire and Alcoa wheel. Also a marker turn indicator light. And then also just in front of the rear axle, you'll find an access location for your winch, which is a receiver hitch. Also emergency warning light just to the rear of the axle, and then also 2 emergency lights in the upper section of the hatch area. There is also a recessed side-facing scene light. As we move to the corners, you'll find your attachment points located here for rope rescue. As we move around to the rear of the apparatus, we'll identify a pull-out and drop downward step for gaining access to the tailboard. In the center, hitch receiver with 12-volt access. As we move further to the right, you'll find for towing in vehicle, you'll find 7-pin and 5-pin outlet. As we move up to the rear, you'll find a pan door lift and turn latch will gain you access. This is the location for your backup buzzer. And then just inside that location, you'll find 2 tow hooks protruding through the rear portion of the apparatus. As we move up, you'll find your brake, turn, reverse, and emergency warning light. Just above that location, unit identifier 4, and then all the way to the top here, you'll find rear-facing scene lights, and then further up to the top, emergency warning lights. On the opposite side, you'll find your ladder for gaining access to the hatch areas, and then directly in the center, backup camera and a traffic advisor. Let's move around now to the passenger side of the vehicle. We'll identify a few items here. Same configuration and layout as the driver's side. As we move toward the front section of the body, you'll find your exhaust located here. Extremely hot diesel exhaust temperatures do exist. Be cautious for contact. As we move down into the driver's space, let's identify a few items within this space. First, a few close-ups of the items we talked about. On the door panel, safety and warning placard information are located here. As we move into the stepwell area, let's start at the very bottom section. We'll identify some close-ups of things we previously talked about with the air inlet, shoreline power, and battery voltage indicator. Diesel fuel location and DEF fuel location. As we move into the cab area, you'll find a warning placard here indicating the use of hand holds. As we move to the floor area, right next to the seat is where you'll find the master battery switch. And then just up from that location, you'll find this yellow placard on the center console indicating the date of manufacture, 5-digit job number, gross vehicle weight rating, and cold tire inflation. This also has the VIN number and all of the fluid capacities for each device and also fluid type. Let's move just up to the steering wheel. You'll find on the left-hand side a keyed ignition. There are also controls within the combination steering wheel here for control mechanism for the front dash area. As we move to the dash area, you'll find on the left-hand side your headlight switch. Moving just inside to the dash cluster, you're going to find the oil pressure. Just to the right of that location, we have a combination gauge which houses the fuel, and then also in the blue is going to be your DEF level. Moving to the right, you'll find your air pressure, and then just further to the right, water temperature. As we move to the 2 larger gauges in the upper section, you'll find on the left-hand side, this is the tachometer, and on the right side is your speedometer. Located in the very center, you'll find a digital display. This is also where you'll find your information regarding scrolling through the various venue options controlled from within the steering wheel. Let's move just to the right of this location, general view. I'd like to point out your pull to apply or system parking brake and push to release. This is the rear spring brake. Also a height 10 feet 7 inches, length 29 feet 6 inches, gross vehicle weight rating 33,000 pounds. As we look to the upper section, this is the backup camera monitor. A few items within this area. First, 4-way flashers, dome light, footwell, and automatic traction control. Moving just to the right, you'll find your regen switch. Further to the right, you'll find a Pierce Information Center, red indicating someone is in the seat without their seatbelt on, green indicating they are in the seat with the seatbelt on. As we move down, you'll find the high idle switch and the indicator for OK to engage high idle, load manager, low voltage, and door open information. Further to the right, you'll find the selector switch for siren or horn, and then also air horn, electric horn, and a computer on-off switch, which is a protected switch. Let's move now, identify a few more items within this area. First, starting with climate control for heat, air conditioning, and defrost. You'll also find information here on the placard regarding your Allison transmission pad. As we move just to the right to the console, you'll find your traffic advisor control module. Further to the right, you'll find your unit radio, and then also a map light in the upper right-hand corner. As we move toward the rear, you'll find storage locations for resources. As we move to the upper section overhead, you'll find your Firecom squelch volume control located in the cutout section. As we move to the right of this location, you'll find emergency master switch along with all individual emergency switches. Just down from that location is the Opticom, and then all of your scene light switches individually controlled.
Also in the center, you'll find it flashing. Do not move your apparatus. You may have a compartment or door open. Also further to the right, this is your siren control module and PA speaker system. Just move underneath that space and you'll find your Firecom wireless headset system. And then as we move toward the rear, just a general view of the center console, and then a view of the 3 seats located across the rear cab wall. Let's go ahead and move now to the exterior, and we'll look inside the lower section under the cab to the frame rail areas. You'll also find a fixed door panel, safety and warning placard. In the covered diamond plate area, you'll find your battery storage location. It is on a sliding shelf. There are 3 batteries located here. Let's go ahead and take a quick reference point here just above the battery box and just underneath the cab section, just a visual indicator here for additional wiring access. And then when climbing in or out of the cab, we have a warning placard here indicating always face the cab when climbing in or out for safety purposes. As we move inside the cab area, you'll find at the ceiling level your Firecom headset system. You'll also find in the very center section the rear air conditioning and then also 12-volt access for your portable radio chargers. We'll go ahead and move now to the exterior body section. We'll identify a few items within this area. First, starting with the first compartment to the rear of the cab. This is a pull-out tray with a partition in the center. As we move to the upper section of the forward body section, this is where you'll find when plugged into Shoreline Power, your battery charger will be activated, maintaining battery status. This is the tool board. This is movable left to right on the partition. As we move toward the front of the rear axle, this is where you'll find your hitch receiver with 12-volt access. You'll also find a pull outward and tilt downward just over the rear axle, and then flat backboard storage, and then just above that you have a storage location here for a Stokes basket. Let's move back to the rear axle where you'll find once again Michelin tires and Alcoa wheel. Close up here just to the front of the axle area where we find the receiver hitch and then also 12-volt. There is a maximum of 10,000 pounds for rating on that receiving hitch. Moving now to the tray, the pull out and tilt downward. And we'll move to the next rear compartment. We do have the very bottom section SCBA bottle storage location with Durasurf on the bottom and also a retaining strap. There are 2 adjustable shelves in this area. All compartments do have LED lighting and ventilation access. Let's take a look with the full vehicle with all compartment doors open, and we'll move around to the rear of the apparatus and identify a few items within this space. First, starting on the left-hand side of the image, you'll find your pull-out and drop-down step for gaining access onto the tailboard. Just above this, on the rear portion of the body, lift and turn latch will gain you access into the push button for your communications between the driver. Also a rear scene light switch in the cupped switched area. As we move toward the center, you'll find your backup camera just at the bottom section of the step area, and then also a recessed traffic advisor. As we move to the rear compartment, you'll find 2 pull-out trays located here. The release is located on both the left and right side. Moving downward now to the center section where you'll find 2 protruding tow hooks, direct pull only. Just underneath the rear tailboard is where you'll find your hitch receiver along with 12-volt access and then also trailer hitch access. As we move to the right, you'll find a warning: never ride on the vehicle while it's in motion, and then also when climbing on or off the vehicle, always face the vehicle. As we move around to the passenger side, you'll find 2 adjustable shelves. Moving to the over wheel compartment, same configuration and layout with access to a pull-out and tilt downward. Additional access at the top section for your backboard and then also Stokes basket. Moving down to the rear wheel. Once again, Michelin tires and Alcoa wheel. Just in front of the rear axle is where you'll find the receiver hitch for your winch. This has a maximum of 10,000 pounds and also has 12-volt access just underneath the hitch receiver. Moving now to the forward compartment. We have a pull-out tray with a divider on it, and then also in the lower section, additional storage. This just happens to be where your winch is located now. As we move to the exterior, you'll find this warning placard indicating extremely hot diesel exhaust temperatures do exist, and the outer edge of that could be hot because of the engine heat. As we move inside the cab area, affixed to the door panel, safety and warning placard information. Let's go ahead and move inside the cab area. With a quick view, you'll also find a warning placard here. Once again, when climbing in or out of the vehicle, always face the vehicle. As we move into the rear section of the cab, you can get a sight of the air conditioning unit in the very center section for the rear air, and then overhead you'll also find map book lights and your Firecom headset system. Moving now to the front officer's space, you'll find affixed to the door panel, once again, safety and warning placard information, grab handle, latch and locks, and also window control. Looking overhead in this space, you'll find your David Clark headset system, also control unit for the Go Light spotlight. At the floor level, you'll find an air horn foot pedal, and then also a foot pedal for your electronic siren activation or deactivation. General view here with the MDT mount. And let's move to the exterior with all compartments open, and we'll move up onto the top section of the body. There are hatch compartments located, 3 on each side. There is LED lighting inside those spaces. As we move to the cab area, unit identifier 4, and then all of your radio antennas. As we move to the hatch section, they are individually compartmentalized. Once again, there are 3 on the driver's side and 3 on the passenger side. LED lighting inside each of those spaces. Let's move now down to the front of the truck, and we'll start with the hood tilted. And then we'll move through the chassis components at the very bottom section. This is under the front axle. And then as we move into the engine space, there'll be no additional audio. These are additional photos for information for your maintenance team. This will conclude the additional chassis photos. Congratulations, Tucson, Arizona, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 38916. If you have any questions about your apparatus, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Thank you and congratulations.